It might have become a cliche to describe the USA as a nation in decline. These days, many Americans fear that China is overtaking them as the world's leading superpower. And America's current debt burden, the last time anyone counted it, was a whopping $34 trillion. That's more than $100,000 of debt for every American citizen.
And as long as you haven't been living under a rock for the past decade, you will have noticed that the USA's politics is somewhat hostile these days, to put it gently. However, there is a lot more to America's success than, frankly, lousy politics. If you look in closer detail at America's geography, you start to realize it has so many advantages that it would be very strange if America was not the world's leading superpower.
Most of the USA is located in the temperate zone, between latitudes 35 and 60 degrees north of the equator, and this is an important place to start. The temperate zone has the best temperatures for agriculture. It is often nicknamed the Goldilocks porridge of climate zones.
Outside of the temperate zone, closer to the poles, the growing season is short. Meanwhile, in the tropics and subtropics, millions of years of heavy rains have made the soil acidic and washed away most of the nutrients, and diseases spread much more easily.
But countries in the temperate zone have an advantage because they have the best soil. They benefit from a short freeze in the winter, which refills the ground with plenty of nutrients. They have just the right balance of hot and cold. If you were designing the perfect country, you would want it to be in the temperate zone, and you would also want it to be wet. And the USA is both in the temperate zone and it is nice and wet. In fact, there are only four places on the planet which are both in the temperate zone and comfortably get more than enough rain for agriculture to be efficient. They are the USA, Western Europe, Japan, and some parts of southern Australia and New Zealand. And you might notice a pattern. All of these places I mentioned are wealthy. It is not just a coincidence. It is because they have the best soil for growing lots of nutrients. However, America is the wealthiest of them all, and this might be thanks to some other advantages which can be found in its geography. America has one of the lowest population densities in the world. When you consider all of these factors, its wet temperate climate and its low population density, you realize that feeding Americans is the easiest job in global geopolitics. And it is helped by another fortunate geographic feature. In the words of the US State Department, the expanse of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans has made it possible for the United States to enjoy a kind of free security. America has always been virtually impossible for another great power to attack. At the same time, this access to both of the world's most important oceans makes supplying a global navy easier for the USA to achieve than it is for any other country.
It is helped further by the fact that America's coasts have plenty of bays, inlets, and natural harbours.
Just one of these, Chesapeake Bay in Maryland and Virginia, has a longer coastline than the entire nation of India. This geography means that America's navy is already a few steps ahead of the rest of the world before the country has even spent a penny.
So, to quickly recap, the USA has the best temperatures for agriculture. It is one of the wettest parts of the lucky temperate zone. It has an incredibly low population density. These factors add up to make it easier to feed Americans than virtually any other nationality. The Atlantic and Pacific Oceans make it virtually impossible to attack the country.
This unique combination of food resources and geopolitical security explains why most technological developments happen in America. The USA's greater food security compared to anywhere else means the USA can think about and plan for its long term future. Most people in other countries do not have this opportunity because they must worry about where their next meal will come from or which of their borders are vulnerable. In contrast, America can invest in risky technologies which might fail because some of these risks will pay off and will power us into the future and give the USA a competitive advantage. Most of the developments which powered us through the 20th and 21st centuries happened in the USA. In conclusion, I admit that America has problems, but the country has a unique potential to deal with these problems. There are plenty of stats which show that America still has a very long way to fall. America is home to just 4% of the world's population, but accounts for 25% of its economic activity and 38% of its military spending.
Even if America seems to be in decline, other countries still have a long way to catch up, and they would have to do this catching whilst having less favourable geography. Most features of the USA's success were certainly not caused by politics or finance. Therefore, it stands to reason that these features cannot be destroyed by politics or finance either. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to hear more stories of how geography creates history, please hit the subscribe button.